Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Esaia Mystic, and this is the place where you can learn all about decolonizing spirituality and primordial feminine energy. I have my little magical wand here with me today. It's a wand slash pen, and it's made with rainbow moonstone. And I just love waving it around and holding it. So today I would like to talk about how to begin reading numbers and how to begin interpreting numbers. So basically like a numerology 101, and I feel like it's really needed because number one, the majority of numerology teachings that I find on the internet and online, whether it be through blogs or vlogs, I feel like there's a really big piece to numerology that is not being put together and also not being highlighted. I see a lot of, people kind of like regurgitating information and giving these kind of cookie cutter descriptions of numbers and how to read numbers. And when it comes to the blogs, I don't know about you guys, but I see a lot of blogs that are like, if you see 444, this means that abundance is coming to you. Or if you see 1111, this means that your angels are talking to you and you're living in alignment. You know what I'm saying? And it all seems really just cookie cutter and like washed all of the essence of numbers and numerology. It doesn't seem to be being upheld within the modern day descriptions that I'm finding. So I am going to give you guys my one-on-one 101 of how to begin reading numbers effectively, how to begin interpreting numbers, and really like the foundations of understanding numerology. So without further ado, let's hop right into this video. Okay, so the first thing that you need to know about numbers and numerology is that numbers and numerology is a kind of mathematics. Okay, it is a mathematics that goes beyond the traditional mathematics that we are taught in school, because numerology now brings in the philosophical element into play. It now brings in the spiritual element into play. So now numbers are no longer just a logical, practical equation, but it becomes an actual energetic alignment. It becomes an actual force field that you can create that aligns with not just the practicals of things making sense and things coming into its divine order, but also on a spiritual level, on an energetic level. You can create certain vibrations, you can create certain energetic force fields using numbers and understanding numbers. So numbers and numerology is a kind of mathematics. And I would say it is the original mathematics, the original mathematical code. And if you know anything about the universe, if you're new to spirituality or anything like that, the universe operates off of what we call sacred geometry, a sacred geometrical code. This is the coding and the mathematics and the order of life. Okay, and this is how we understand the vastness. This is how we're able to bring the vastness and the grandiose complexity of the universe, which we can see is expressed through the zodiac sign Pisces. Pisces is the 12th zodiac sign. It represents the universal energy. This is the last zodiac sign. So they've been through everything. They've been through every season, every experience, and so that they represent this kind of the unison with the cosmos, this unison with the universe, this unison with the all. So its opposite, Pisces opposite, which is the 6th zodiac sign, which is Virgo, is where you can see that mirrored universal consciousness down into bite-sized pieces, down into things that are digestible, because Virgo rules the digestive system, things that can be processed and that you can make sense of on a like day-to-day level. This is how we can understand the universe, is through this mathematics, right? Virgo also rules over mathematics and logistics and things like that. So this is essentially what this is also representing, is this depth of understanding the universe. And so that's what numerology is at its core. It's a mathematics. It is a science that is also in tune and also connected to our spirituality and our energetic vibration. So this mathematical code of numerology doesn't just apply to numbers. It applies to numbers, and it also applies to letters. It also applies to the alphabet. So the vibrations of numbers and letters are synonymous. And in letters, you can find a vibrational frequency of a number. So, but it's not the opposite, right? In numbers, you don't find the vibration of a letter, right? The numbers is still the core, but in the letters, you can find the vibrational frequency of the numbers. So numerology does not just apply to numbers. It also applies to the alphabet. It also applies to letters, which means numerology applies to words. It applies to names. It applies to, last names, first names, nicknames, street names, the apartment community where you might live, or actual, neighborhood community where you live, a city that you live in, everything, right? Having to do with the way that we use letters, which is within language, that also rules over numerology. And that is a big part of numerology that I feel like people just don't really merge together very often. So we're going to do that here. So understanding that, you should now also be able to transfer the meaning that we give to numerology to names, to the words that you speak, to the titles that you give people, okay? It all has a vibrational effect on our consciousness. And a lot of people do not believe or do not think that it has or means anything. Like, oh, it doesn't mean anything, right? I remember when I was a preteen, and me and a group of my very nerdy friends got together, and we were like wanting to write a book together, or something of the sort. And I know for me, it was very important to me on what we decided to name the book. I didn't want to just go with a name. I really wanted to feel into it. I really wanted to make sure it was the right name. And I remember one of my friends in the group was like, it doesn't matter. Like, you are doing too much. You're making a big deal about it. It's just a name, right? And I've heard this before, of course, after that time in my life when I was a preteen, where people don't think that names matter, that people might not think that names that they use in the Bible or within their religion matter. They might not think that names that they call people, or that the name that they are being called, matters, right? It's just a name. Well, I'm here to tell you that it is not just a name, it matters, okay? When I just started getting into numerology and I was just learning about numerology, the first thing that one of the first things that I was introduced to during that time was the vibration of our name. And I went through this rabbit hole journey of self-discovery, and I decided to go the yantra yoga route of changing my name, changing my first name. So I decided to go that route because the name that my mom gave me literally was so far off, right? The numerical vibration of the first name my mom gave me, the name that everybody was calling me, it was so far, like the numbers associated was so far off from the numbers that were meant for me, okay? So I am a life path 7, okay? My life path number is a life path 7. So for me, I needed a name that was in harmony with my life path number. I needed a name that opened up the door vibrationally to me stepping into who I actually am. And the name that I was given was so far off. I was like, no wonder, like, I feel so out of whack, and I feel like, you know, the people that I'm around like expect things of me that just I don't want to do, or they just think that I'm somebody that I'm not, just because they're calling me a name that I'm responding to that isn't in vibrational alignment with my destiny, with my soul's calling. So I went through the route of changing my name. And as you guys know, that name is currently Esaia. And once I changed that name and I began to allow people to call me that, and I started responding to that name, immediately I started seeing a difference in what people were coming to me with when they came to talk to me, or if people were attracted to me, like the energy, like I felt like they were recognizing me for my magic, for who I really was. And that shift, I'm kidding you not, was pretty immediate. So names definitely matter. So not only have I used numerology to choose the name that I am called, well, I would call it my spiritual name, right? Like, I have chosen my spiritual name based off of astrology. And it's important for everyone to have not just a name that they go by, right? Oh, this is my new name that I want to go by, but a spiritual name. This spiritual name gives you spiritual protection because this name is in alignment with the spiritual path that you are on, the path that you as a spirit are on. So I've used numerology to choose my spiritual name. I've used numerology to also pick out my business names, and also to name my daughter because I was up and up on the information when she was born. So when I used the numerology to pick my business names, this gave me the ability to see, okay, this is the kind of energy that this business will attract. This is the kind of energy that this business will exude. This is the kind of energy that will be the overall aura of the business, right? All of that, like, numerology gives you insight into. When you recognize the alphabet and letters and names and words to also be a part of this sacred geometrical mathematical code of the universe that numerology oh so eloquently represents. So I've also been able to help other online feminine creatives who are entrepreneurs, who are business owners, to also figure out what their spiritual name is, or figure out what an ideal business name would be for their business using numerology and understanding numerology in that way. But I'm not going to teach you guys that in this video. That is for if you would like to work with me and learn more about that. You can DM me on Instagram at Esaia the CREATRIX, and we can talk more about what that would look like. But for the most part, you need to understand the importance of it in this video. So the next thing that I want to talk about, well, I guess at this point we'll get into the nuts and bolts of how to begin really reading and interpreting numbers in general. Okay, so we got into the importance of numbers as it relates to letters in the alphabet and the mathematics and all of the things like that. But like, how do you really begin understanding and reading and interpreting numbers? The very beginning of my journey started with me feeling a certain way about numbers that I saw, or that would just be in my life. I mean, numbers that would be in your life. But this sounds interesting, I know, but it's like, I would always have this relationship with the number 7, right? I would always feel a certain way about 7. Even when I was a child, when I would like go through the numbers and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, I would just feel a way about 7. And there was always this bond I had with 7. So when I discovered my life path number was 7, it was like, oh, like the number was talking to me the whole time. I had this relationship with 7, and it was because it is my life path number. So that is the number one way to really begin to read and interpret numbers. What numbers do you feel like you just have a bond with? Everybody has those numbers. I know, like some people have such a bond or such a like closeness with certain numbers that they get, numbers tattooed on them. They just have it numbers like, you guys know what I'm saying. Like you just have your favorite number. So what is your favorite number? What numbers have you felt drawn towards? That's going to be the first thing that you want to look at whenever you are reading and interpreting and beginning into the realms of numerology. Is first connect with you, okay? And this should be the basis. Once you establish this becomes the basis for every other interpretation that you have, and you can start moving out of this cookie cutter, 444 means this, or 333 means this, and 555 means change, right? So, and I'm saying that as, what most people explain as far as when we see these recurring number patterns, such as 333, 444, 555, specifically when I see them on the clock. This is how I always typically see them, is when I look at the time. I'll always see this certain reoccurring pattern of numbers, and it's almost like magically I look at the time and it's always this set of numbers, right? It can even be a unique set of numbers, right? For me personally, I see 1222 a lot. 1222. So that's basically 12:22 p.m. typically, because sometimes I see it at a.m. because I'm typically go to bed early sometimes. But that is what most people describe, or when most people describe these number patterns, they give you a really cookie cutter, 222 means love and relationships, divine feminine. 555 means change. 444 means the foundations and stability. And it's like, okay, yes, when we learn by the book the basic understandings of what these numbers vibrationally mean, we get an overview of like, oh yeah, that's what that means. Okay, I get that, I feel that. But you will never have a real and true depth of understanding with these numbers if you leave it at that. You have to go beyond the cookie cutter, this is what this means definition, in order for you to truly be able to read and interpret the vibrations of the universe and the vibrations of these, this mathematical code that is being delivered to you, right? So it's going to start with you merging what you have learned by the book with what you are intuitively experiencing and what you are going through and what you are thinking about in these moments. And the reason why, like, I don't blame a lot of people for doing it this way. It's because it's not the easiest thing to do in this day and age. Most people are so out of touch with their intuition, with their bodies, with what is actually happening in their life, right? They're so, in the wave, right? When you're in the wave, when you're in the happenings of life, you just going with it, right? But when you are going on the spiritual journey and you are becoming enlightened, this is one thing that you learn about when you activate your third eye, is that you have to be in the world and not of the world. You have to see, but you cannot actually be like a part. Well, it sounds bad when I say you can't be a part of the world. Of course you can be a part of the world. But what I'm saying is awareness comes when you see what's happening without actually being, moved and overtaken by what's happening, that you have no awareness. You're basically becoming like at the mercy of what the world is doing and what the world is thinking. And this is what they call in the law of attraction, creating by default. So it's important for you to have that personal relationship with when you see recurring numbers come up. Okay, I've been seeing 555. When I see that number come up, I am actually connecting to what I have been going through, what has been coming up for me, the things that I am experiencing, okay? And that gives me greater insight into the number pattern, what the number pattern actually means for me, and not just in a general sense, not just in a general spectrum. But again, you're using what you know about the number in the book as a guideline, right? Into the depths. It's almost like it anchors you when you're going into the depths of your own self, of your own life experience, of your own psyche. Okay, so that way you have that anchor there. So because when you don't have the anchor of what it actually means by the book, you start going all off, the edge, and, it's almost like, okay, you don't even know what is happening. And that's typically what I think about when I hear, people say, oh, this means your angels love you. And, you kind of just start talking about all this stuff that has nothing to do with the foundations of what the number means. So you want to know what the foundation of the number means, and you want to use that foundation to explore what's actually happening in your life and in your reality. And that will give you greater clarity and greater understanding of what the numbers actually mean and what they are saying to you. So I teach women how to read the complexity of their intuition, how to understand the language of soul, of their subconscious, and basically take divination and oracle and interpreting messages and interpreting energy to the next level. So if you are interested in learning more about that, I have a program that I have actually just begun to wrap up, and it is now available as a self-paced course called Lunar Feminine Freedom. It is for the feminine creative who is ready to tap into her spiritual gifts, own her confidence, and start to really see how valuable you really are as an intuitive feminine woman. So I do have a brand new offering that is called the CREATRIX Unleashed. And before I give you guys the bombshell of what the CREATRIX Unleashed is to be, we are starting with the initiation and the foundations of you being an online feminine creator that is fully owning their divinity and their creative light, your beauty, and how to show up fully and truly as a feminine woman in the online space and not feel boggled down by masculine perspectives, masculine philosophies, and feel like you need to compromise your ways and how you're doing things because of this. How to create effortless flow within your business as a mother, as a mom, as someone who is predominantly in their feminine nurturing energy, or maybe you're just being called to be in more of a self-care mode. This is going to teach you how to allow your relationships with the masculine to actually support you and uplift you in your journey of being an entrepreneur. I mean, so many times I see women who go into business and they want to be an entrepreneur, but they are, supporting their man, and in that it's like draining them, and they have no clue that it's draining them, but it's stopping them really from actually fully being a woman in your business, and you feel drained in a lot of ways, or you're not getting as much support and help and love that you could be getting from the masculine as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, as an online feminine creator. So this is also going to allow you to be able to step into that. This is also going to be something that is going to allow you to see your body as the guide to how you operate your business. So many times women ignore their bodies and they go into their business, they go into it like a man, and we get burnt out, we get sick, we start having feminine issues, we start having serious health issues. So this is very important for online feminine creatives to start learning and understanding now, because I know what it feels like to be on that end of the spectrum of having little to no energy, body is acting up, and I'm basically going against myself and what my body really wants me to do in my own business. So this is also going to be teaching you about that. And last but not least, what I will be bringing into the initiation of the CREATRIX Unleashed is how to discover your creative superpower. So this is something where I will be going into your charts intimately, your astrological charts intimately, and looking at where your placements are and how that reflects your creative superpower, the thing that you were specifically put on this planet that you already are in the creative energy of, but possibly not giving yourself full permission to own and step into. And trust me, when you know what it is clearly and you give yourself that permission to step into it, the manifestation capacity and ability just it lights up. So that is what you'll be getting from me on my end. Now, surprise, I have a guest expert that will be joining me within the CREATRIX Unleashed, and she is amazing, phenomenal. She's also one of my I consider to be my dearest friends. She has coached me in my earlier years of being an entrepreneur, and she has, evolved in the years that have passed, and we have known each other. She's, landed, 25K, 100K deals with, single, contracts. And she's also created multi-million-dollar companies and brands. So she's going to be joining me, and the things that she will be offering within the space is going to be aligned with the strategy, is going to be aligned with the nuts and bolts of what it really means to create something as a feminine entrepreneur from the ground up and make it real in physical, tangible form. So I'm really excited to have her be a part of everything, and we will be doing some content on YouTube soon. So be on the lookout for that. But if any of this sounds like your cup of tea, send me a DM and let's talk more about it. Let's see if this is something that sounds like it's an amazing fit for you. Or I will have a link down below if you're watching this in the future. A link down below where you can opt in and or view a landing page to learn more about this sacred, juicy offering of the CREATRIX Unleashed, the initiation. So thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you all in my next video. If you have any questions, comments about the subject of numerology, and anything pertaining to the topic of this video, you can comment them down below. And I'm looking forward to speaking with you all soon. Okay, peace.